today we have a pleasure to interview my favorite composer, Ian Eisendrath. Good afternoon, Ian.
Hi, Dr. Sokolina. It's great to be here.
And thank you very much to our audience. If you have trouble sleeping or sleep next to the snoring partner, this interview would be useful for you. Because Ian gonna tell firsthand experience of life with the oral appliance and how that's improve, I hope, his creativity and the production of this beautiful music and shows what I love so much. And if you're a medical professional, I think this interview would be valuable for you as well, because together we can put with the patients and a medical professional little puzzle of this dangerous disease called sleep apnea. In this way, we can help better a lot of patients, including, creative ones. And I want to present Ian because I really enjoy his what he produced to the world. And my favorite one would be Murders in the Building, Team from Murders in the Building. But besides that, I really love music from the show Come From Away. And a lot of movies, I always pronounce it wrong. Lili, Lili, Crocodile, right? I pronounce it wrong. But I love that. It's such a, your music have so much kindness and beauty, what I can listen over and over again. But important thing, what I want you not share with our audience, but I want to tell about that, what Ian composed the musical on such an important topic, what I see not every day in my practice, but very often, and it's always occupying my mind. He is working on a musical called Heart. It's really about the heart, and it's about a lot of things what I see every day in my practice. So my first question to you, Ian, can you please tell us a little bit about your music, and especially about that topic, what occupying my mind so often called Heart?
So I'm an executive music producer, music supervisor, which means I sort of run the music department and shape music for Broadway shows and film and television. My most recent Broadway show that has filled up a lot of my life and my heart is a piece called Come From Away, which is about 9/11 and what happens when 5,000 people are suddenly grounded in Newfoundland, and sort of an instant community springs up for everybody on one of the most difficult days imaginable. And it's really a story of hope, community, connection, and also an opportunity to process loss. So that's been a huge joy of mine. Other projects have been Spirited, which was on Apple TV Plus, starring Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds, Lyle Crocodile, which Dr. Sokolina mentioned, Only Murders in the Building, and I'm in the midst of a few films right now, including a new version of Snow White for Disney, as well as a new animated film for Sony Pictures Animation. And then additionally, as Dr. Sokolina said, I am co-writing a piece called The Heart, which is based on a beautiful French novel by Maëlys de Kerangal. And it tells the story of a heart across 24 hours when someone unexpectedly and tragically dies, and the impossible decision the parents have to make whether or not to donate his organs, because he was young and never made that decision, and all of the incredible machinations and just, I think Olympian feats that all the doctors, the medical staffs, everybody goes through to transplant the many organs in his body and create new life for so many. And the show ends with his heart beating in somebody else's body who was preparing to die. So it sounds sad, and yes, there's sad, but it's really, really a story of life.
I want you to tell about that musical from your own words, because I do have a lot of patients who happen to be organ recipients, who life was saved by somebody else kindness. And when you came to me and told that story about the novel, and I was so amazed by that, what it can be put into the musical, and it can change perception of people and actually make people feel what's the reality of that. I don't know the reality really from the first hand, but I hear it from my patients, and it's really dramatic, and it stays in my mind for a long time. So I remember every single patient in my office who is a organ recipient. But we're going back to oral appliance therapy. That's why we are here. So please tell me, how did you find out what you have a sleep apnea?
I was having trouble sleeping, and I actually was having trouble breathing. I was noticing that throughout my day, my breathing was getting really labored when it hadn't been before. And then I also was getting reports from my wife that I was snoring really loudly and a lot. And so I went to the doctor, and she recommended that I go and have a sleep study. And once I had the sleep study, they told me I have pretty severe sleep apnea. It's something that runs in my family. I didn't know about it, but once I knew about it, that was very clear. And I started on what's it called? The
CPAP.
Yes, which is like this thing that you attach to your face, and it's supposed to keep your airway open. And I couldn't sleep. I tried it for on and off for a couple months, and I actually felt like my life was better with sleep apnea than with CPAP. But I knew that wasn't a good long-term solution. And doctors and research sort of showed me how detrimental the disease can be if you don't solve it. And not to mention just a desire to sleep through the night.
And I would like to ask you from the first-hand experience, what's your experience with oral appliance therapy?
So when I went to the doctor and said, I just can't do the CPAP, is there anything else? And I actually asked, I know there's some kind of surgery you can do. I was sort of open to anything. And she recommended that I go see Dr. Sokolina and experiment with an oral appliance. So I did that. And we'll say Dr. Sokolina and her team are just really incredible people. They took great care of me. And Dr. Sokolina cares more than I think anybody else in the world about helping her patients. And so I started sleeping with the appliance and immediately slept through the night and didn't snore. So it was just a very, very fast switch.
I'm going to ask you the questions that always concern medical community, and they put it on the patient. So did you notice any change in the position of your teeth?
No. And I think I would assume that's because you've given me this morning positioner, which I use for 10 minutes in the morning, and I think it sort of returns my teeth.
And do you have any pain in the jaw joint? That's another question.
I've always had pain in the jaw, but no more.
That's very nice. Yeah. And I would like to ask you how oral appliance improve your routine. It was beautiful what you mentioned to me before. A lot of people come to me and they're very concerned, but they wake up 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. And even that fact, what they're going to wake up so early, make them so concerned to go to sleep. So they have this racing thoughts of what I'm going to do if I'm going to wake up. And I like how you approach it before. I want you to share with my audience how you approach it before for some people who suffer with that 2 stages of sleep.
Do you mean how I approach waking up?
Waking up, yes. What did you do?
Not always successfully. On my better days, I would just get up and I would use the time. Sometimes I'd do some meditation, inspiring reading, and journaling. And then at that time, maybe I would feel tired again and go back to sleep. Though a lot of times I just stayed up. And, it made me tired, and I've really learned that I really need 7 hours of sleep a night, or I become dysfunctional over time. But, I guess I've always thought of those early morning wake-ups, again, when I'm in a good headspace and not in a dark one. I've thought of them as sort of an opportunity to be awake for other people.
I like how you put it, serving the opportunity. I always, sometimes I can say through the history of human history, we might design to have 2 stages of sleep. First stage and then wake up, and then second stage. And during the Middle Ages, people use it, to milk the cow, to pray, to do some intimate activities. And that was just a normal routine. And it's mentioned in a lot of historical books. But a lot of people in the present time, they become so concerned because they have to wake up at 5 or 6 to go back to work, and they don't know how they survive through the day. So tell me how oral appliance therapy changed your family dynamic now.
Well, I have an incredibly patient wife, but she started a little freaked out because I would wake up in the middle of the night sort of gasping. And while she somehow miraculously has sort of tuned out snoring, it was the gasping and the sort of, I felt like I was going to die. Like, so I think that once that stopped, obviously that improved her sleep. And then also the added benefit of like zero snoring is much kinder to her.
Yes.
So yeah, she's appreciated it.
No, thank you very much. So I'm very happy what your wife is, feel what, in a way, when partner take care about disturbance at night, that's the sign of love. And we want to show love different ways. So, thank you for what you did. And I appreciate your time, Ian. And I hope my audience are going to appreciate the new creativity, what you going to present to us with the new improved sleep. So tell me, do you feel what sleeping longer make you more creative?
Yes, and balanced and able to deal with the stress and workload.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time. And
Thank
we wish
you.
you a lot of creative success. And I cannot wait to see hearts and this powerful message on stage.
Thank you, Dr. Sepul.